Let's start. Happy anniversary. Happy seventh year anniversary.
Yes, we are.
What has it been like for you, really?
It's been unexpected.
Right,
You can't really see 7 years from the wedding day,
right.
but you can always hope that it's going to be good.
hmm
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Right. Well, for me, I think it's been a beautiful experience, really. Life has definitely not been easy, but the marriage has been really good and strong to, weather all the various challenges. I think I see where having a long courtship actually helped us. I mean, it wasn't we didn't plan to have a long courtship or life again, but and I think it really laid a strong foundation for us. Really, we're able to get through the first few years without too many drama. Really, because we sort of like know each other really really well. So I think that it's been good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Yes.
So we're just doing this to immortalize our 7 year anniversary. Because right now I can't remember what we did for fifth year, what we did for third year or fourth year. Like I can't remember.
Immortalize or memorialize.
Okay, memorialize. Yes, our 7th year anniversary. Because for me, it's a milestone. I know you are still waiting for the 10th year. You're like a decade, yes, they will take pictures and all of that. But for me, 7 is a very, solid number because perfection, right? It was our year of perfection. We're entering into a year of new beginnings, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. So, oh, you're tired. So we're going to answer some questions, you know, that have been asked us to sort of reflect and just share from our own experiences to help other relationships and just sort of, reflect for our own selves too. Yes. After 7 years in marriage, what would you say is the greatest lesson you have learned? I think you should answer that. Then I'll answer the second part of what kind of person or people make a marriage work. Or you can answer it too. Feel free. Yeah, a ball of wisdom. Go on, Mr. Morgan. What would you say is the greatest lesson you have learned
In 7 years of marriage,
in 7 years of marriage?
decisions, 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 decisions. That's it.
Hmm.
You have to be more decisive about what you want to do. If you don't decide, you would just um, you just find yourself um, miserable. Every moment is a time for decision, and that decision would require communication. Because if you just make a decision by yourself, it tends to be selfish.
Right.
So it's everything: decision, decision. Money, decide. You know, relationship time, decision. Kids, decision. So you can't be like when before you got married, you can always can be quite procrastinative.
Putting things off.
You could put things off for a bit. We'll come back to it later. But marriage, you have to decide now. What are we doing about this? Those kind of things. It's a 7 years of intentional decision making.
Hmm.
Mm,
So what you've learned is to be decisive.
always.
Hmm.
You want to do something, you decide now. You know,
Hmm.
you can't say my wife will decide or let's wait till my wife comes back. There's always only we have to, you know. what should we do about this? There's always that question, coming from somewhere.
Right.
So it's always a time to decide. That's why youths don't get, unserious people don't get married. Marriage is a serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 years of being serious is what it is. Serious with your career, serious with your kids, serious with family.
Right. Well, for me, what is the greatest lesson that I've learned in 7 years of marriage? I mean, there are so many lessons that I have learned personally. But one that stands out for me as a person is to be a little bit flexible. Because I think I came into marriage with a very rigid mindset and personality. And I realized that with that kind of mindset, your world is just sort of really small.
Yeah.
Your world will be really small unless you are open to other people's perspective, preferences and things like that. So, and with the kind of unexpected turns that our own marriage has taken in many ways, I think for me, I would just say be flexible in your thinking. Like when you are thinking about something, understand that that's my way of thinking about it. Somebody else, my husband, might have a different perspective. Even my child, might see it from a different perspective. Like when we're talking about me having been home for a couple of years now, I'm feeling like, oh, I'm not doing enough. My career could have been farther than this. I should have made more money. I should have, you understand all those things. Then one day, the Holy Spirit just stopped me and just said, think about it from Zoe or Zion's perspective. And I realized that from their perspective, my life is perfect. Like I'm exactly where I should be. Like you're here with us. From their perspective, they're having the best, experience, seeing as their dad is working hard to make sure that their needs are met and their mom is available. They don't have to be dropped off here, dropped off there. They don't have to face any complications,
Mm.
of being around
Tossed
other
around.
people or just being tossed around, right? They
Yeah.
have that stable
Stability.
upbringing, stable beginning. They pretty much can predict what each day is going to look like,
Yeah.
and they are secure. So I realized that from their perspective, I would see my life in a different way, right? And I would see my purpose for this season in a different way. So I think for me, it's just know that your way of thinking is it's just that is your way. There are other ways of thinking, of, seeing things really. So I think flexibility will be the greatest lesson for me. Hmm?
True.
And what kind of person or people make a marriage work? Seeing as I'm still talking from my perspective, I'll say flexible people. you know, Flexible people, people that are teachable, that are willing to consider somebody else, that are willing to bend, willing to yield, willing to accept that sometimes I am wrong. Sometimes I am the box that people need to think outside of, right? So I think those kind of people will make a marriage work. And that's not to even begin to talk about the spirituality aspect of it, because as much as like we are Christian, spiritual, we do know that this marriage is of the earth, right? Is earthly. There's no marriage in heaven, right? So your spirituality has a role to play, but it's not the only thing. You know, your person is what you bring into the relationship. So
Mm.
God is not going to help you go through the mundane of life. God is not going to do all the mundane of life for you. You're still the one that have to be yielding. And even still, that's where that flexibility comes. Because even if you're a Christian and the Holy Spirit is like nudging you to say, maybe apologize to your spouse or maybe initiate that conversation,
Yeah.
and if you are still unwilling to yield, if you are still so rigid, you won't even yield to all those spiritual nudgings, right? So I think flexible people would have a really good time in their relationship. Besides the benefits of the interpersonal relationship, life self requires you to be flexible because things will just happen that you're not preparing for or expecting, and you have to be able to go with the flow, you know, see where it leads, right? You should read our next question because I'm not the host. We are
Well,
co-hosting.
the other thing I would like to say is, what would you say is the greatest lesson you've learned?
You want to share another lesson?
Well, not really. I mean, sorry, the second part. What kind of person
Mm-hmm.
make a marriage work? Well, flexibility is key. But then you would ask yourself a question that how are people getting divorced, after like 10, 20 years
Mm-hmm.
of marriage? What changed?
Mm.
Their kind of person changed.
Mm.
You get my point?
Mm-hmm.
So it might also require another part to answer. The What kind of people make marriage work? Successful people.
People that are willing to make it work.
That's what I want to say. So it's to be intentional. You know, it might not be. Some people might be saying, "Oh, I was married this long because I want my kids to understand." When I have a divorce, it makes no sense.
It doesn't.
So they'll say, "I think my kids are old enough now. We can divorce."
Mm-hmm.
So it's about being intentional. For the fact that you could be intentional about wanting your kids to be this long in age before you consider it, the same intention you should have to make it work forever.
Right.
So the kind of people, like I said, serious people. Having a serious approach to marriage is what makes it work truly. Not just that because it's on the face of it, society has made it look like it's a make or break thing. And they keep predicating it on scripture that Jesus said, get a certificate of divorce.
Jesus doesn't even say that. It was Moses that said that.
That Holy Book keeps saying. Jesus said, the Holy Book says. But the goal for marriage is forever.
Yes.
Forever, not that to continue in heaven.
For the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life.
Earth.
Here on earth. Yeah. So that's my addition to it.
I am definitely glad that is your take, Mr. Magine, because we are in this thing for the rest of our life. Okay, so how do you deal with your differences? How do you and I deal with our differences? Are we that different, really?
Yes, we are.
In what ways?
What ways, babe?
I mean, for me, we're really similar in a lot of ways.
No, not the way we handle certain things. Like, we don't get along sometimes.
Maybe it's the euphoria of 70th anniversary, but right now I can't think of how we are different or how we don't get along.
I mean, if we disagree on certain things, I usually would want to allow time play its course. I believe that time heals, or time gives you enough leverage to articulate, examine, and then approach. But you would always be, I want it resolved now, And sometimes that moment might be brewing with anger, quote, might be brewing with discontent with the way the situation was at that point. So it might inform your reaction
me, sir,
in a very unpleasant manner.
Wait.
To alter the whole conversation.
I hear you.
Or make it worse.
I beg to disagree. Let me tell you why. When you say I like to resolve things now, it doesn't always mean in the moment, because I know I take some time. That time is typically less than a day. It's typically a few hours. I take a few hours to reflect, to try to calm down. But you want to let things just time like 2 days, 3 days. Like literally, if I don't bring it up, you won't bring it up. So that's why I'm trying to put things in
No, no,
perspective. By dealing with it now, it doesn't mean that, oh, I want the very second the thing is happening, I want to talk about it. If it's something that I feel is light, I may. But if it's something that really touches me, I typically always wait a few hours. So if I've waited a few hours and you're still not seeing anything, for me, it's like you're not dealing with the issue at hand, or you're just pushing it to the side. And I don't want to push things under the rug, because if we do, then those things will fester. And for me, time doesn't change anything really. Like, things have to be fixed. If you want them fixed, time won't fix it.
I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you see now that we're actually different in that aspect.
Yes.
So, but what I'm saying is that I'm trying to get an example that could really portray what I want to say. If something like a behavior of yours was something that I didn't approve of, now it's okay to say, honey, I don't like the way you acted. You know, other things can condition my response to that. I don't want to chastise you in the midst of people. That kind of thing. I'll wait a while and all that. But sometimes I will just chill and understand that you might come to a point of self-realization that I might have acted bad here, or honey, I'm sorry. So that has in a way saved that moment of altercation of, oh, you did this and this or that, and you'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was like, save all that back and forth. You just really realize it's about trusting the fact that you are self-correctable. Do you understand?
So you want me to trust you more, that you just realize by yourself?
No, I'm saying let that part to play out.
No, I know that I reflect. I know I reflect.
I do
and
that too. And you know I do that too.
I'm trying to trust that you do.
Yeah, so it's I'm saying let that card play out first too. And that card can only
I think
come
it
out.
depends on the situation. I think it depends on the situation.
Okay.
Some things, even though I've even said them one time, two times, they've not changed. So like, what? How will I not think you will just magically self-realize? Okay, but jokes aside, I think maybe it's a gender thing. I think ladies generally, we like to communicate our hurts, displeasure, or stuff. So I mean, it might not be targeted at you as a person. I think it might just be a gender thing. Like, for me, I really don't feel that things resolve themselves. I feel like I have to resolve them.
No, I'm not saying resolve themselves. I'm saying give
people time to realize themselves.
Exactly.
So how much time would you say? Like a few days?
No, time would be chances.
Opportunities. Okay.
You know.
So after how many occurrences would you say it to be necessary to bring it up?
Once is enough.
So don't bring it up the first time.
Don't bring it up the first time.
If it happens the second time,
then you can approach it factually. And so that person will be able to deny the action and say it's a momental thing. It had happened before. More, and I thought this would change.
I understand that, and I think that's something I can agree with.
That's the way I approach life in general. If I'm displeasured, if I'm not happy with a colleague at work, and he does something to me, I take it as a first take, so that when he does it again, I can bring it up factually, and so they won't be denying it when I'm coming with a conversation like that.
Right.
But I'm not saying that's good for marriage, because then it looks like I'm keeping scores.
Yes.
But that's not the case. The case is so that you can correct in love. You understand?
I understand. It's a reasonable perspective. You know, it's a reasonable perspective. It's just that sometimes I don't do that, because I would rather that thing never reoccurs. Maybe because I was really hurt by it and I don't want to feel that way again. You know, I would rather there not even be a second time. Is why I sometimes bring things up the first time. No, we're not talking about things like, oh, he left the dirty cup in the sink, or he left something out, or he didn't pick up something. We're not talking about things like that. Things like that, yes, I can allow for first chance, second chance, third chance, fourth chance, right? You know, I can even say, well, c'est la vie, this is the life, right? But things that are really important to us as a couple or to our family, maybe things that like
Oh,
affect like time spent together, how kids are influenced or raised, things that are big like that are not things that
oh yeah.
I would want to reoccur a second
I
time.
mean,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
may be why I may not give that person the opportunity, or in this case you the opportunity to do it the first time, and then the second time I just be like, no, I no, just no. Right. So I think so. How do we handle our differences? I think the way we just did right now.
Yeah, talk it
By
out.
just talking it out. Really. Okay.
How do you deal? Okay, that's what we read.
Mhm.
Is the honeymoon stage a myth? What is
Was it?
better? Oh, we want to start at that first.
Is the honeymoon stage a myth? Was it better in the beginning, or does it get better as it grows?
Well, first, the concept of honeymoon is not even it's not a thing. What is honeymoon?
You know.
Time spent alone, away from your problems.
No, what problems? No, time spent alone as a new couple. Like, when they say honeymoon stage, the stage where you're all like lovey dovey, romantic, all of that, hardly quarrel. That's what they mean by honeymoon stage. You're still like in the euphoria of finally living with this person you've dreamt of being with all your life. So is it a myth, or does the relationship get better really?
It's not a myth. It's science. It's the
Hmm.
way the brain works.
How so?
It works with anything new.
Hmm.
If you buy a car, your attitude towards that car will be lovey-dovey. You vacuum it. If the popcorn falls on the chair, you pick it up the second.
Hmm.
You clean, you wash it. You just take care of it for the first two,
So
three,
that
four,
means you
5
are
months.
agreeing that there is an honeymoon phase in marriage.
There is, but then, like I said, still with the car. Down the line, 1 year, 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
you leave your jacket in there, your shoes in there, your socks, your stuff. Now that's being relaxed about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're intentional about, taking care of the car, you'll be surprised that 2, 3 years from then, your car will still almost look as new. The mileage might just increase.
Mm-hmm.
You drive it with the same care as you have with the new car. You get my point?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, marriage is like that. With anything new, marriage can be new when it would start, when you just go get married. So the same attitude to a new thing is what you would use to approach a marriage with. The person you married is, it's a new experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you are still very much intrigued that this is something you've wanted your whole life. It's here, and then when you're married and you start getting into the years of marriage, now you begin to see things that will challenge that memory.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the person I got married to? I can't believe that, you are this, you're like this, you're like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even a long period of courtship might not reveal certain things you will see in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, being intentional, being serious. I mean, it will make you consider, do you want to get more knowledge on how to deal with this? Do I have to read some more books? Do I have to be more patient to doing it counseling? You know,
Mm-hmm.
Getting a serious approach to things like that. Do we have a mentor we could talk to? Do we look forward to?
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of things are what you would say to keep a marriage going. Now, about recreating that honeymoon phase,
Mm-hmm.
it's about realizing that you need to spend time alone. You know, Isolate yourself from what you feel is challenging your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then when you come back with that renewed fire, you realize that it's something you can just decide here and there and finish it. like maybe you were both confronted with not financial issues now, because that would be a big problem. To go and spend money you don't have, come back, exactly. So, but I mean, other issues like maybe career, not to decide on a promotion that would affect you. I mean, you taking far or separation.
Right.
But when you go on an honeymoon and then not honeymoon, but you go somewhere, have fun, when you come back and that you bring that conversation up again, you will discover that that fire you've rekindled in that period will give you a different approach to it. Now, what if I think I can let that promotion go, because you enjoyed yourself and you feel you want to keep that going.
Our promotion must not go anywhere.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, it's. I mean,
I
that's a
understand.
decision that you have to decide when that time comes.
Okay, baby, you've said
Yeah.
a lot. For me, for this question, is the honeymoon stage a myth? I think I will come from the perspective of it's not a myth, in the sense that I feel like maybe from a feminine perspective, this person is asking, does it get old or do you stop being in love? That kind of thing. So for me, I would say it's not a myth because I've known you. We courted for 7 years. We've been married 7 years, and I think I'm still as much in love with you as I was when we were dating. So, and I only see it remaining that way